Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Love Island season 7. So, I want to talk about a few things. I had said I wanted to talk about this before, but then things happened and then didn't come to fruition. So, now I'm ready to talk about it since the reunion is on the 25th tomorrow. So, I just wanted to talk about the discourse and like the things that have happened post post the finale. Yeah, post the finale. So we have, the Islanders. They all, some of them do like, different interviews and podcasts and all this other stuff. So I did watch a few of them. I didn't watch all of them. The main ones that I really want to talk about is the Huda Call Her Daddy podcast. We'll talk about the Shelley, Olandria, and Kiki Palmer interview podcast, and then also the Teen Vogue interview that Shelley and Olandria did. Um, Ace hasn't done any podcasts, and low key, I'm not even mad at him because they played in that boy's face. So I wouldn't do any podcasts. I did watch his. He has done like a few lives since he's been out. I think he's done 2 lives since he's been out. So I know on the first live he did. He said that he was gonna wait till the reunion to say what he had to say, and then in the second live it was for his birthday. So he didn't really talk much about anything. So we shall see what's gonna happen at the reunion. I saw the preview of the reunion and what's to come or whatever, or like, the trailer for the reunion. And I don't want to get my hopes up because that's what I thought was going to happen with season 6 reunion. And it was boring and a waste of time. So hopefully season seven's reunion, it ain't gonna be boring or a waste of time. I feel like they have a lot more. A lot of stuff has happened in the villa, outside of the villa for them to be able to talk about. And I truly hope that the Islanders watch the show back prior to the reunion so that they could discuss it. Because I know in a lot of these interviews, they didn't watch it before they went on an interview. So when the people are asking them questions, they really can't answer it because they don't know what we saw as opposed to what they thought we saw. So hopefully they watched it so that I would hope that would be a requirement for them to watch it before they come to the reunion because that would be, but hey, who knows? So anyway, so we're going to talk about, the first thing we're going to talk about is Huda and the Call Her Daddy podcast. So I did watch that podcast, and what I got from that podcast was I didn't watch the Amaya one, but I don't think she did the Amaya one how she did this one. But she really basically she asked about, she did Huda, like she asked Huda about her life prior to Love Island, her growings up and all of that. So she had gotten, like, she did like a semi sort of deep dive into Huda prior to Love Island to say this is the reason why she was like how she was in Love Island. So that's what I got from that interview. So in the prior beginning of the interview, she again explains her upbringing, her life. She says some things that blew up on the internet for some people. That some people were saying other people that were reviewing it were laughing at it. It was EJ and Jesse Wu. They were saying that they were laughing about her being SA'd, but at the same time in the interview, she never actually said that she was SA'd. She just alluded to that could be happening. And I feel like with her alluding to that, she could always come back and say, I never said that this is what happened. Y'all assumed that this is what happened based off of X, Y, and Z, but I never said that this is what it was. So in that, I feel like she low key played in people's faces because she, if she didn't want to talk about it, she shouldn't have brought it up. If she was going to bring it up, she should have talked about it. That's how I feel. Hey, it's to each his own. To each his own. Whatever. Um, She talks about being bullied in the show, and She doesn't put a name on it, but at the same time, she is actively putting a name on it. Because she didn't put a name on it, she did put a name on it. Because everybody has already saying that Chelley and Olandria were bullying her. So she in that moment put a name on it without putting a name on it. And I didn't think that was right, because if you're gonna say somebody bullied you, I'm gonna need you to put a name on it. I'm gonna need you to say X, Y, and Z did X, Y, and Z to me. Because from what we saw and what we showed, depending on who's looking at it, because from what I saw, I didn't see nobody bullying her. I saw her being the bully because she was a bully to Jeremiah. She was a bully to Iris. She was a bully to Amaya. Even though her and Amaya are the best of friends now, she was still a bully to those people. The bombshells that came in, she was a bully to them when she was with Jeremiah, because she didn't want them to take Jeremiah from her. So she was a bully to those people. She was a bully to Jeremiah when America voted him with Iris. You went and called him all kinds of bees and all of that. You were being a bully. You were being a Tasmanian devil, wrecking havoc all through that villa with that instance. And you didn't take accountability for that. You didn't say, you know what, I was doing too much, X, Y, and Z, da 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 da. You didn't do any of that. You basically, this happened or this happened and you gave like an excuse for why you did and why X, Y, and Z happened to make it seem like you were right in doing what you were doing. And you weren't. You were not right in doing any of the stuff that you did. You, by your own admission, you've watched the show. You know what this show is about. You know how the bombshells work and everything. So for you to go in on the bombshells when they came in to do their job, you were a bully. So for you to say that you were bullied in the house was wild. And it's like I've gone back and watched a few episodes here and there just to, like, refresh my memory on things that happened, and especially with the whole Chris, Chelley, and Huda situation, because not Huda, but Chris went on a podcast. I think the Vile Files or something like that. I'm not really sure. I don't watch any of his podcasts, but he went on a podcast and he basically said that Huda brought it to him to bring him back to the villa for Chelley. So you approached this man to, because you didn't have a connection, he didn't have a connection. Let's connect together and I'll bring you back for Chelley. And then when you brought him back for Chelley, now it's like, oh well, I had a connection with him and I wanted to explore our connections, but that's not initially what it was. And from when I watched the episode, that's how it seemed. That's how it was conveyed to me on me watching it. So other people saw it differently, again, depending on who's seeing what, how you view it. But when I viewed it as, you approached Chelley and said you didn't have no connection. You did speak with him, and you were thinking about bringing him back for both of y'all. That's how it was brought to Chelley. And Chelley was just like, cool. And another thing, that's when I think about it, that's like the second or third time that you've done that. You went and talked to a dude that was in a connection with someone else without talking to the girl first. Because you did that with Hannah and Pepe. You pulled Pepe for a chat, and then after the fact, you went to Hannah and told her, hey, I pulled Pepe for a chat. But you keep talking about being a girl's girl, and then you did the same thing with Chelley. You pulled Chris for a chat to talk to him, whatever, and then you went to Chelley to tell her, hey, I'm kind of feeling him after the bust up with JD. So it's just like I see why they was like why Chelley started to look at you funny, because you was moving funny. And for you to now come out of the villa and act like they did something to you when you were the one who did something to them. You wronged them. You wronged a lot of people in this. And you came out the villa and made it seem like everybody wronged you. Like you were the victim this whole time, and you weren't. You were great TV. Like you crashing out was great TV. At the same time, it wasn't. Like Huda's on another level. Her stands or whatever they are on another level, and they do too much. They do absolutely too much. Going on Twitter, if I see a post about Chelley, here come Huda fans saying stuff, and it's just like, focus on your girl. Why are you worried about what Chelley and Olandria are doing? Focus on your girl. She's got a new boo that she's with. Focus on that. Why are you always coming up under Chelley or Olandria's post to say stuff? It's like something wrong with y'all. Something wrong with y'all and something wrong with her. If you've watched any of my videos, you know this is not a Huda fan. This is not a Huda. This channel, we don't like Huda. I don't care. Whatever. It is what it is. So we get to so she talks about that in her interview, and it was just watching that interview, it annoyed me because again, it was just like you had an excuse for everything that you did. Even with you trying to coerce Chris that last night, you tried to make it seem like it wasn't what it was when we all saw what it was. We knew what you was trying to do. And the fact that that man told you no, and then you tried to tell him if he doesn't do this, then you're going to be mad at him, and you tried to teach him, you tried to son him and treat him like a kid, talking about I'm gonna count to 3 and all this other stuff, and then you legit didn't talk to him the next day until it was time for your date. Like, girl, whatever. So with the Olandria, Chelley, and the Kiki interview, I watched that interview as well. That interview really didn't give a lot. The questions that were asked weren't really, they weren't really nothing. It was like, I guess, I don't know. But from how it was, because the way that when the interview dropped, it had been some time since they actually did the interview. Because from looking at it, because I follow Chelley and Olandria, I follow all their stuff, so I've been seeing the stuff. So the outfits that they wore in that was something that they were wearing like as soon as they got out the villa. So I think that when they first got out the villa, one of the first things that like, or when they got back to the States or whatever, so it's like real quick, they did the interview with Kiki. So they didn't they dismissed the hate. They said they weren't down for the hate. They not about that. They didn't like that. They didn't say nothing bad about Huda. So they hadn't seen the, because if I'm not mistaken, I think, yeah, the Call Her Daddy podcast dropped before the Kiki and Olandria and Chelley podcast dropped, but that one was recorded prior to the Call Her Daddy podcast. So when they initially got out the villa, Huda was all up under um Olandria. We saw videos of her hanging on to Nick and Olandria. She was their daughter or whatever. When they were in that Airbnb, she was all up on them, under them, always with them. And then she went and did that podcast, and then we didn't see her again until she popped out with that guy Louis from some other show. I don't even know who he is, but that's when we seen her again or whatever. So you did that podcast. You basically you basically shit on your friends or your friends, and now you're all on your own. And it's like, girl, that's your fault. But anyways, so yeah, the Kiki Palmer interview with Chelley and Olandria, it really wasn't a lot. It was, again, it wasn't a lot. They didn't talk about a lot in that interview. They denounced the hate. They weren't for that. They talked about their love for each other, how they felt about the, being in the villa and the relationships and all of that. So it really wasn't a lot. Kiki did just drop another one with Nick and Taylor, and I didn't watch it because I seen clips here and there, and the clips that I seen, I was just like, I don't know if I could watch this because Taylor gives abusive, and yeah. But anyways, so what else has? Oh, they just dropped. I think Teen Vogue. Oh yeah, Teen Vogue. They did an interview with Chelley and Olandria, and they were talking about everything that happened, because I think at this point of the interview that they did with Chelley and Olandria, they've seen the Call Her Daddy, and they've been out of the villa for some time. It's been a couple of months since, not a couple of months. It's been like a month and some change since the show's ended, if I'm not mistaken. So they've been like out and about, and they're seeing things like just like everybody else is seeing things. So they talk about that in the villa and how they were villainized because they were dark skinned black women, which they were, and how they had to hold themselves to a different standard compared to other people who were able to cuss everybody and their mama out, run up and down in the villa yelling and cussing people out, and they couldn't even do a fraction of that, because the one time that Shelley told Huda, "No, I don't want to talk to you right now," she became a villain and a bully, and she was being mean. And then when Olandria, on a stand on business, where she told Taylor about himself, she was, now that's who she really is. She's not that poised person that she portrayed herself to be. And it's just like, no, she was poised. That's who she is, and she also could pop off just like anybody else could pop off. Like, I don't understand why people try to make it seem like you are one way or the other. You can be all ways. Like, you don't have to be just one way. There's no just one way about somebody. Everybody can be whatever. And you, like, everybody has this vision of what a black woman is, and she got to be loud and rah 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 in your face. And when you finally see one that's just, I'm cool, calm, collected, you don't believe in her. You don't believe that's her until she gets rah rah rah, and she wasn't even rah rah rah. She was just like, I did everything for this person. I reassured him every chance that I could get, and this is how he do me. That's not cool. That's all she said. And now it's just like, oh, that's her. That's the real her. That's the real her. And it's just like, y'all are whack. Y'all are whack for that. Like, all the way whack for that. But it is what it is. So yeah, they had that conversation. Um what else has been going on? Oh, they did the I think GQ and Teen Vogue like posted some videos. Like, I think with Teen Vogue they did a Truth or Dare, and the people that were there were Shelley, Ace, Alandria, Nick, Amaya, Brian, and Huda. And again, I don't know when this was filmed. I can't remember if this was. I feel like this was after the Call Her Daddy podcast, and this was something that Huda was obligated to go to, because the outfits that we saw them in, the Shelley and Alandria and them in, I remember seeing the backstage pictures of those, and we were just like, damn, I wonder what that's for, because they look good. So now we finally see it. So in this instance, they did the Truth or Dare, and like, whoever called Huda sadness was so correct, because she really looked like sadness. Like, in that it was so like, just watching it, it was just like, girl, it was just like, man, I wish you didn't come. Like, I wish you didn't show up. Like, I wish you wasn't obligated to be here, because it was so annoying just watching her, how every, like, the back row is laughing and kiki and having fun. Same with Brian and Amaya, and she's just sitting there like somebody somebody put a pew pew to her head to make her come. And it's just, I mean, to make her be there. And it's just like, girl, ugh. So then for the GQ one, it was, they were asking to explain, ask you a question and you have to answer with one word. So one of the Shelley and not Shelley, but Alandria and Ace, they was tag teaming up. One of the questions they asked Alandria what was her experience with, how was her, for her to describe her Love Island journey, and she was just like, bullshit. And Ace was just like, I concur. And then they asked Ace something else, and he was just like, lies. And then they asked him, what are you most excited for about the reunion? And he was like, truths. And Alondra was just like, and then you see the front row, and Amaya and Huda. Amaya was smiling, Brian was smiling. It was Huda that was just like, and then every time she spoke, the back row was just like, because it was just like, in this moment you could tell they don't mess with each other no more. They probably seen that interview, and then it was just like, oh, I got to be in a room with her, Bet we gonna make this uncomfortable as we possibly can, and I'm not mad at them for that because she looked uncomfortable and sad, and it was just like, girl, you did all of this, like you legit caused all of this, like ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are Huda. You are the reason why all of this is happening because of because of what you did in the villa. You set a precedent for how you wanted this villa to go, and then you didn't apply that precedence to how you moved in the villa. And then you came out of the villa and tried to make it seem like everybody bullied you because they held you accountable for your actions. And you were and like who was it? Blue Centric. She said Amaya and Huda are the same person, but the same coin, different sides, or however she says it. They're the same person, different font. That's what it is. Amaya and Huda are the same people, are the same person. They really are. But Amaya is more likable than Huda because again, I'm not even gonna get into that. But anyways, yeah. So um those are the things that I've seen with what's been going on with the sorry, what's been going on with that. And then again, the discourse behind the whole um Love Island with the different fans and stuff like that. Like I like Chelley, I like Nicolandria. People be pitting them against each other, and it's just like, why are we pitting them against each other? They're all friends. Like if you like one, you can like the other. I don't know why you can't like both. It's just like, it's annoying. I love Shalandria. I'm a ride for the black girls. I'm a ride for Clark. She's a little bit Clark is boring, but I don't had no issues with her initially because she was making faces, but now it's just like, okay, cool. I'm not no issues, but she gives nothing, so I'ma still ride for her. But she still gives nothing. What else? What else has been going on? Because I know Coco, she went on a podcast with Winter from BCBG. I mean, not BCBG, Bad Girls Club. She had went on a podcast with them, and they were talking about Olandria, and she was like, yeah, um, she was in the hold on one second. Sorry. So she was in the podcast, and she was basically like, they were talking about how Alandria was delusional or something like that. And she didn't like come to her defense. She did kind of sort of, because she was just like, yeah, Alandria was just like my man, my man, my man. And I was just like, where? Or something like that. And they were just like, yeah, she was giving a bit delusional. She was just like, and it was just like, and you are Coco. You were in the villa with them for a hot second. You were in the villa with Alandria longer than you were in the villa with the other girls, but you were in the villa with Alandria for a little minute. So in that instance, when they said that, you could have easily said, you could have took up for Alandria, but you didn't. You let them people say whatever they did, and you didn't have her back because you are the one who knows her, as opposed to these girls. You know Alandria based off of what you witnessed and when you were with her in the show, not what we saw on TV. So you could have had her back, and you didn't. And then you had the nerve to try to speak to her when y'all were getting ready for the reunion, and she swerved you, and she should have swerved you. And I'm happy that she did. And I hope she's talked to you about that at the reunion, because girl, yeah, we had high hopes for you. I had high hopes for you. I was like, man, I want Coco to be on games. I want her to be on the next Love Island. I was rooting for you, and then you come out and you like in post talking bad about Ace. I mean, talking bad about Chelley, and how Coco should have been in the house with Chelley, and oh, if you was there longer, you could have took him, and all this other stuff. And it was just like, girl, please, that man was down for Chelley from day one. He went about it all kind of wrong initially, but when he said I crash out by Chelley, he meant that. He wanted Chelley from jump. He's been wanting Chelley, and now that he got her, he ain't gonna let her go. He was not about to lose. He was not about to let her go for nobody. Not nobody. So, girl, you was a little delulu. But yeah, so that's really the what I really wanted to talk about, because it was like it's been a lot of stuff that's been happening. Some stuff I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not even gonna mention it. Some stuff is just like y'all are taking things way overboard, like the death threats that people are sending to Chelley and Olandria and their family, and all of that is just like, are y'all okay? Like, I just, child, I don't know. Give me one moment. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. But yeah, so yeah, the discourse behind this season is unlike any that I've seen, because I don't remember the discourse being like this last season. Um, or I may not have been like, I was invested, but maybe I wasn't that invested to the point that I'm seeing all the stuff that I'm seeing now. Because again, I don't remember seeing all of this last season, or maybe it's the people that I follow. I don't know. And I think last season I really didn't go into the hashtag Love Island, and maybe that's why I didn't see all of that. It was just whoever on my timeline at that time was speaking about it. That's who I followed, and all them people they follow, they sane. I'm sorry, but yeah, this season it's like wow, like this discourse was just ridiculous. But yeah, so hopefully, we got the reunion, so I'm sure like with the reunion we're gonna get our think pieces. So we'll probably still be talking about Love Island for another week or so. Um I think my last video on Love Island, unless something like major pops off, is gonna be the reunion episode. I'm gonna try to get that to y'all as soon as possible. I do have a 9 to 5, so I watch it at home. I'll watch it that night, and depending on how I feel after the episode, I may come and make the video to give it to you the next day. But we shall see. We'll see how it goes. But that's all I had to talk about for Love Island USA season 7. Love Island Games is about to come up. I think they said, I want to say it, not at the end of, is it? No, it can't be at the end because we're at the end of August now. Sometime in September, I think that's what it was. So that's coming. So I will be reviewing that because I did like season 1. The only thing I'm gonna be upset about is the fact that now we get to vote for this one, and it's just like, oh God. I think the games is so much better without us voting because it's all in the hands of the Islanders. But we shall see. The only thing that we voted for last season was who we thought our favorite guy and girl was for Love Island game, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so this season, we'll see. They haven't dropped the cast of who's going to be on. So hopefully they drop that soon so we can discuss who's all, the cast for Love Island um, games. Sorry. Love Island game. So we'll see how that goes. But if you like what you see, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, get down in them comments. Tell me how you felt about this season of Love Island. Bring me your hate, your like, whatever. It is what it is. But I will see you guys in the next one.